Hello, happy Tuesday. I'm just getting ready to post my Wednesday inspiration announcement, and I have a little list of things that I wanted to share with you. So, hello from Idaho Falls. This is Sister McAfee. I'm in the modules right now, and I'm in what's called Student View. And so I'm under just a test student account, so it's not anyone's real account. And I'm going to come down to week 3, and I'm going to pick 1.3C. And the first thing on the list to show you is just to make sure that you know that right here it says, if you are struggling or you want help, use the tutorial, use these resources. These tutorials are amazing. So as we get going, things will get a little bit more difficult. It's just the way the class works. I've heard that week 10 is pretty intense. And when you get there, I just want to make sure that you know that that's there. So anytime you get stuck, use the tutorials. And then I'm going to go back. And I'm going to go into the week 3 budget that's going to be due this week, right here. And I want to show you here too that right here you have these tutorials. It says optional, but again, if you're having any trouble with Excel, you would want to come here and do this tutorial on Introduction to Spreadsheets, and then here for help with spreadsheets. Some of you just haven't used Excel, and that's okay. And so just go here and get maybe a little bit of help. And then please make sure before you submit any projects all the time that you're going through these rubrics really carefully. This is how I grade. So if you want to get 100%, just go through these boxes and just make sure and say, yep, I did that, yep, I did that, yep, I did that. Notice that you have to have expenses and a budget. That is not the same thing. Expenses is what you're actually spending, and a budget is like your grand plan. And so that takes me to the next thing, and I've taken some time to do this, so hopefully this helps you and you can get some ideas here. Let me expand that a little bit so we can see this. So I have 8 examples, and I'm going to click through these pretty quickly, mostly just so that this video doesn't go for too long. But you're welcome to rewatch this and then even pause it if you see one that you like. These are just examples though. You need to make a budget for yourself that you love and that's going to work for you. And so these are all just ideas. So this is basically a copy of what's in the All Is Safely Gathered In, the church pamphlet. So this is as basic as it gets. So for each month, like for January, you would have how much you make, your income, and notice again that you have 2 things. You have how much you plan to make, and then how much you actually make. And sometimes those are the same. Sometimes your salary is just set and you know exactly how much you're going to make, and so then those would be the same. But sometimes, you kind of guess, or maybe sometimes you work overtime and sometimes you don't, and so then you just have to put what you kind of planned to make and then what you actually make. And then you should have your list of things that you spend money on. And then again, how much do you usually spend in these categories? This would be your plan. And then you actually count up, how much did you actually spend on groceries? And those numbers should not be exact. Nobody spends exactly $200 and 0 cents in a month on groceries. You might plan that much, but then when you add up how much you actually spend, it's different. So that's number 1. And again, I'm going to kind of go a little faster, but if you see one you like, pause or come back and watch this again. So here is number 2. And the only change on this one is that it adds in this difference column so that you can kind of keep track as you go to see how much you have left. So if you every Saturday get in and update your spending, then you could be like, oh, now I know how much I have left for food this month, because you just kind of subtract as you go. So this adds in the difference column. And then this one is a lot like how I've budgeted for a long time, and that is to split each month up into weeks, because I kind of like to track weekly. I think it's nice to see those numbers and make sure that I'm kind of spending the right amount each week instead of waiting till the end of the month and then being surprised that I'm over budget. So I kind of like to do a week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So you're tracking expenses right now, that would be going into week 1. And instead of saying January 2019, of course, that would say May 2019. And then again, you have to have your planned. Don't forget the budget, that's the planned. And then your actual expenses go here. So the budget is the plan, and then the expenses go in the actual, and then again you would total it up. That matters because that way you can see how much did I plan to spend on food, and then I spend and I spend and I spend and I spend, and then I total it to see how much I actually spent, because that way you can compare it. Number 4, so this does a whole year at once, and some people love this and some people think it's overwhelming. It goes back to just having one plan that just lasts over and over and over again. If your budget never really changes, if you always spend about the same much and you always make about the same amount, then this would work for you. This is like the exact same thing, except it takes each month and still splits it into weeks and then puts in a total. So here's February, week 1, 2, 3, 4 total. March, week 1, 2, 3, 4 total. And then you have your monthly budget here that you would go to each of these totals and compare it. So this works, and again, it puts a whole year on one page. Some people like that, some people don't. It's totally up to you. You just need to look through these and find one that you like. This is kind of cool because it just puts the weeks to the side instead of in the middle. And then you still add these up and put it in your actual spending, but then that way it's right next to it. So then you can see how much you actually spent for the month compared to how much you planned to spend for the month. So I like that one too. It's still weekly. I really like weekly tracking, but that's just my personal opinion, is that weekly tracking is good. This one they've added on dates. So if you like to keep track of let's say when your car insurance is due. So you come here to car insurance and you put how much your car insurance normally is. And then over here you can put what day it's usually due. So that way you can X it off or something. So after you pay it, maybe you put an X in here or a check in here or something, and then put how much you actually paid. So if you like to keep track of dates, this is amazing. Again, just ideas. You pick the one you like the best. And then this one was new. I just kind of saw this one recently and I thought it was kind of cool. Instead of breaking it up by weeks, it just leaves blank space in here. And so let's go back to food just because that's the easiest one, because it's what we buy over and over and over again. So food is down here at the bottom, food. And so let's say you plan $200 for food. So you would be okay, $200. I think I'm going to spend $200 on food. And then every time you buy food, you just type it in. So let's say, I went out for lunch today and I spent, I don't know, $7.32. Then I put that in. And then I went grocery shopping and I spent $42.28, and I just put it in. And so then every time you buy food, all through the month, you just keep that running total. And then over here, you actually total it up. And you can use a calculator right now to total it up. If you know how to do the sum formula, that's the coolest. If you just click sum, it'll just add those up for you, and that's really awesome. Oh, but that added up the first one. Let me do that again. We don't want to add up all of them. So we're going to do sum, but we only want it to do this part, and then hit enter. Yeah, so that'll keep a total, and then that way you don't have to use a calculator. We're going to learn that later though, so please don't be worried if you have no idea what I just talked about, because we haven't taught you some yet. But so just take a calculator and add them up for now, and then later we'll add some and all that to it, so that's nothing to get worried about. So again, you can go back and look at those if you want to pick one that you like best. So let me X out of those. And then I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to go to grades. I don't know if all of you have clicked on grades, so let me do that really fast. So in the grades section, I think you should go here every week. I think it's important for you to make sure before the end of the week and before things are counted as late, that you go and make sure that you actually have grades in. Again, this is the test student account, so don't worry about the zeros. It's just because I didn't do all that stuff. But I did do a reflection because I wanted you to see this. On the week 1 reflection, see this little thing right here? that means that I left feedback. So if you click on that, then you can see the feedback that I left. But it won't let you type there. So on the scavenger hunt, I asked you to read your feedback and then reply. And I'm just worried that maybe some people haven't done that because you don't know how to reply. Well, if you actually come up here and click on week 1 reflection, then it'll open it up, and then that way you can reply. And we can chat back and forth, and that's just private between you and me. So nobody else can see that. And so I can give you feedback, and then you can reply. And I'm going to come down here to the goals. Remember that on the week 1 feedback, that's your main goal. So in question number 5, you set your main goal for the whole entire semester and all of the general things that you were going to do. And so that's your main goal. And then every single week you set a little tiny weekly SMART goal that helps you achieve that. So if your main goal was to receive an A, then every week you're going to say, okay, what am I going to do to get an A? And then you set your little weekly SMART goal, and that should be really specific, just something that I'm going to do this week in the next few days that's going to help me reach that main goal. And so that's how you add a comment though. So that's what I wanted to show you there. And let me go back. I think there's just one more little thing. If it'll go back. Yes, it went back. Very good. The computer's behaving today. So back here on grades, you also see this rocket ship thing. All that means is that you submitted it, but I haven't gone in and graded it. I'm pretty fast. I'm in here multiple times a day. I grade most things immediately. But the rocket ship means that it's not graded yet. If it's been more than like 2 days and I haven't graded it yet, I think you should probably click on it and see if I left a comment, because sometimes it's because I have a question or something's not right and I don't want to give you a bad grade. I want you to like fix it first. And so just if it's been more than maybe 2 days and you submitted something and I still haven't graded it, just go ahead and check on it. And I'll leave a comment. If I didn't leave a comment, then that just means I haven't got to it yet. And so that's fine. I promise I will. But I'm really fast. And so usually I do. They always say that if in doubt, go home. Go home. As in click home. Because when you're from the home screen, you can see the announcements and you can get to all the modules and you can see what's coming up. So if you're ever in doubt, click home. And in this case, these are the announcements, and these little dots over here mean that I have not read them yet. And so I'm in the test student account, and so the test student has not clicked on these yet and has not read them. And keep in mind that question 1 on the reflection is going to say, like very first question, did you read the announcements? And so always go home and always make sure that you've read these announcements. So you need to actually click on them and then open them and then read these announcements to make sure that you know everything that's going on, because there's some really important things. These links right here are amazing. So I think that's it. Again, feel free to go back and watch this again. Feel free to pause it when you get to a budget and expenses report that you like. Make sure that you make one that you love. Make it your own. Create it from scratch. You're not allowed to use a template, and so you do need to start with like a blank Excel document and then make the whole thing on your own. So I'm here all the time, every day, multiple times a day. If you use the inbox, I'm going to get it immediately. It notifies me on my phone. I am fast and I am here and I am ready to help. I love math. I love this program. I love the things that we do with Excel and the projects that we do. And so don't feel alone. And sorry this was long, but I got through my list. So hopefully there was something in here that was helpful. But just let me know if there's anything else that you need. And I think that's about it. So have a great week. Finish up week 3 and let me know if I can help.